At 91, Shirley Jones finally tells the truth about Burt Lancaster. Shirley Jones was born Shirley Mae Johnson March 31, 1934 in Charleroi, Pennsylvania. She grew up in nearby Smithton, a small town far away from the fancy Hollywood life Ash would become famous for one day. When she was young, her mom and dad saw that she could sing really well and they helped her take singing lessons. These early music lessons helped her start a career that would make her one of the most famous singers and actors of her time. Jones got her big break when she was found by the famous team of Rodgers and Hammerstein, who loved her beautiful, clear singing voice and sweet look. They gave her a special contract, making her the only singer ever to get such a special deal from the famous music makers. This helped her get her first movie role in Oklahoma in 1955, where she played a sweet farm girl named Lori Williams. The movie version off-Broadway show was loved by critics and made lots of money, and Shirley became famous right away. Her acting showed both sweetness and strength that people loved, and it started her string of musical movie wins. After Oklahoma, Jones became known as Hollywood's favorite good girl with great roles in Carousel in 1956, where she acted with Gordon MacRae, and The Music Man in 1962, where she played librarian Marion Peru with Robert Preston. Both movies showed not only her singing talent, but also her skill at playing women who were both kind-hearted and strong. Her role in The Music Man became famous gouse at mixed comedy, romance, and songs in a way that showed off her natural charm. But Shirley Jones didn't want to always play the sweet good girl character. In 1960, she took on a brave new role in Elmer Gantry with Burt Lancaster, playing Lou Baines, a troubled woman whose life was ruined by a fake preacher. Jones surprised people with her deep and complicated acting. The role won her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, proving she could handle tough dramatic roles and breaking away from her sweet girl image. This Oscar-winning acting job is one of the best parts of her career, forever changing how people saw her talents. In the 1970s, Shirley started a new part of her fame that made her loved by a totally different group of fans. She starred as Shirley Partridge, the mom of 5 musical kids in the popular show The Partridge Family. From 1970 to 1974, the show was not only a huge hit with viewers, but also became something everyone talked about, with millions of people watching every week to see the adventures of the singing Partridge Family. Shirley played mom with warmth, humor, and quiet strength, handling both comedy and music while making the show feel like real family love. The show brought her to a new group of fans and made her known as one of TV's most lovable mothers. In 1975, Shirley Jones took a big step away from the sweet, family-friendly image that had been most of her career by starring in the TV movie Winner Take All. In this serious and emotional role, Jones played a person who gambles too much and whose bad habit ruins her life, very different from the happy characters people were used to seeing her play. Jones gave a scary good performance as a woman who not only puts her marriage in danger by secretly taking money from her trusting husband, but also does something even more shocking, hurting him more by having an affair with her bookie. For fans who had loved her as the sweet Marion in The Music Man or the loving mom in The Partridge Family, this daring role was both surprising and interesting, proving that Jones was not scared to try darker, more challenging roles that showed how well she could really act. By 1979, Jones made another big career move when she came back to TV in a starring role, leading the comedy show Shirley. The show, which was clearly made to copy the success of The Partridge Family, had her on see again as a widowed mom raising her kids while dealing with everyday life problems. Even though the idea seemed familiar, Shirley tried to be more realistic and heartfelt, focusing less on music and more on how a family works together when dad is gone. Even with Jones's clear charm and great acting, the show had trouble finding viewers in a busy world. Halfway through its first season, not enough people watched it and NBC had to cancel the show. While Shirley never became as popular as The Partridge Family, it still was an interesting part of Jones's TV career, trying to mix her motherly warmth with a new kind of storytelling. Jones kept surprising people with how many different things she could do well into the 1990s. She made fans happy with a funny role on The Drew Carey Show, where she played the older woman, girlfriend of Drew's character. Her appearance both playful and joking energized the comedy show. showing that she could make fun of herself while trying a more modern kind of humor. Then, as a sweet reminder of the role that made her a TV star, she played Shirley Partridge again in a fun small part on that 70s show in 2000. A moment that excited longtime fans who had grown up watching her lead the musical adventures of the Partridge Family many years before. But Jones's career was not only about comedy or looking back at old times. She also proved over and over that she could handle deeply emotional roles. One of her most praised performances came in the TV movie There Were Times Dear, where she played a loving wife dealing with the heartbreaking sickness of her husband, who was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. In a role that needed both quiet strength and heartbreak insides, Jones brought real honesty and deep emotion to the screen, leaving viewers very moved. Her performance was so powerful that it got her an Emmy Award nomination, recognition that showed her ability to go beyond being typecast and a work of amazing power and emotion. On August 5, 1956, Shirley Jones married actor and singer Jack Cassidy, a marriage that brought together two talented and charming people off stage and screen. Cassidy, already becoming famous as a Broadway star and rising TV personality, was as charming as he was complicated. Jones, at just 22 years old, was about to become one of Hollywood's most loved leading ladies. Known for her beautiful voice and wholesome beauty, their marriage seemed at first to be a glamorous Hollywood love story filled with hope, creativity, and love for each other. Together they had a family, having 3 sons, Sean, Patrick, and Ryan Cassidy, each of whom would later have careers in the entertainment business. Following in their parents' footsteps, Jones also became stepmother to David Cassidy, Jack's son from his earlier marriage to actress Evelyn Ward. David would later become world famous as a teen idol on The Partridge Family, starring with Shirley. Their mixed family, while blessed with talent and opportunity, also had tensions, challenges, and strong personalities that often come with show business and complicated marriages. In the end, Jones and Cassidy's marriage fell apart, and after almost 20 years together, they got divorced in 1975, even though they were legally separated. Their connection would stay emotionally powerful for Jones, affecting her personal life for many years to come. After the hard end of her marriage to Cassidy, Shirley found love again in a relationship that surprised many people. On November 13, 1977, she married actor and comedian Marty Ingalls, a man whose crazy sense of humor and weird personality was very different from her classy and elegant style. Their marriage was unusual, and Ingalls himself often called it an odd couple relationship. The two even wrote a book together called Shirley and Marty, an unlikely love story, which told about their ups and downs with honesty and humor. Their partnership had moments of trouble, including separations and getting back together. In 2002, Jones even filed for divorce, but later took back the request, showing deep, if somewhat frustrating, connection they shared. Even with challenges, the marriage lasted for almost 40 years, kept going by their commitment to each other and Ingalls' constant love for his wife. When died on October 21, 2015 from a massive stroke, Jones was heartbroken. Thinking about their life together, she openly said that even though her husband often drove her crazy with his silly behavior and unpredictability, her love for him never changed. She sadly said, "There's not a day I won't miss him and love him to my core," showing how deep their lasting love was despite their differences. But shadow of her first great love, Jack Cassidy, never fully left her. On the evening of December 11, 1976, Shirley Jones went through a scary and tragic moment. Only months after saying no to Jack's offer to get back together, an offer that showed his lasting love for her, she was told that his penthouse apartment had caught fire. The fire, it was later found out, had been caused by a cigarette Jack had lit before falling asleep on the couch. By the next morning, firefighters found his body in the wreckage, and news of his death shocked Jones completely. For her, the tragedy was not just losing her former husband, but losing a man who, despite their rocky relationship, stayed the most important influence in her life. In a 1983 newspaper interview, Jones admitted with raw honesty that Cassidy had wanted to come back to her until the very day headed, and that in her heart she too had wanted the same thing. "That's the terrible part," she said. "As much as I love Marty and have a wonderful relations, I'd say this with Marty sitting here. I'm not sure if Jack will live, I'd be married to Marty." These words showed the deep and complicated love triangle between her past and her present. showing how powerful first love is and how hard it is to fully move on from it. Jones had met Jack when she was only 20 years old, and the 7-year age difference only seemed to make him more attractive. To her, he was not only a husband, but also teacher, a work partner, and the great love of her young life. Even years later, she would call Jack Cassidy the most important person in her life and definitely the love of her life. While her marriage to Marty Ingalls brought stability, friendship, and laughter, her connection to Jack Cassidy stayed a bittersweet thread running through the history of her life. A reminder of the joys and sadness of loving deeply, losing tragically, and carrying both memories and love forward. At 91 years old, Shirley Jones has reached a time in life where thinking about the past becomes a normal part of daily thoughts. And with it comes a willingness to speak more honestly about the people she met throughout her amazing career. Having spent many years in the Hollywood spotlight, she worked with, met, and became friends with some of the biggest names in movie history. One of the most interesting people she remembers from her past is Burt Lancaster, the Academy Award-winning actor known not only for his magnetic screen presence, but also for how complicated his off-screen personality was. For many years, Jones stayed pretty quiet when asked about Lancaster, giving polite but careful answers. But now, at 91, she has decided it is time to speak more openly, to share the memories she once kept private, and to tell the truth about their time together. As she said, "I don't see any reason to hold back anymore. Burt Lancaster was unlike anyone I had ever met, and the impression he left on me has lasted a lifetime." When she first met Lancaster, Jones was still very early in her career, just beginning to become a leading lady in Hollywood musicals and dramas. She had already won an Academy Award for Elmer Gantry, which also starred Lancaster in one of his most famous performances. That movie alone created a close professional bond between the two of them because the film needed emotionally charged and sometimes deeply personal performances. Jones remembers that working with him was both scary and exciting. Burt had this incredible energy, she explained. He could be terrifying one moment and totally charming the next. He had a way of making you feel like you had to rise to his level or you'd be swallowed up by the force of his personality. To Jones, Lancaster was what many believed Hollywood's golden age was all about, charm mixed with a fiery intensity that could make or break a performance. Jones also remembers Lancaster's reputation as Omen of Contradictions to the public. He was seen as athletic, manly, and almost larger than life, with his acrobatic past in the circus aping his energetic screen image. Viewed in private, she noticed a side of him that was much more guarded, so metamesity, and deeply aware of his own place in the world. He wasn't the type of man who would let you in easily, Jones said. There was a wall around him, but if you were patient, you could see glimpses of a very sensitive soul. He was always thinking, always planning, and I think that's what made him both brilliant and difficult. One of the things Jones liked most about Lancaster was how professional he was, despite the intensity he brought to the set. He was fully committed to the craft of acting and expected the same from those around him. He never phoned it in, she said firmly. Burt believed that every scene mattered, that every line had to carry weight. He would push you some items more than you thought you could handle, but in the end you were better for it. I learned a great deal from him, even if at times he scared me to death. For Jones, those lessons stayed with her long after their work together ended, shaping the way she approached every role that followed. But not all of her memories of Lancaster were just about work. Jones admits that there was a personal fascination as well. Recognizing sheer magnetism he carried wherever he went, Burt had a way of filling up a room, she said. It wasn't just his looks, though, of course. He was stunningly handsome. It was something deeper, a force of personality that made people turn their heads the moment he walked in. You couldn't ignore him, and truthfully, you didn't want to. While she is quick to say that their relationship never crossed professional boundary, she does admit the appeal of Lancaster was undeniably and unforgettable. As she thinks about it now, Jones admits that she sees Lancaster differently through the lens of time and experience. Back then, I was young, eager, maybe even a little naive. I thought of him as this untouchable figure, almost mythos in stature. But now at 91, I can see that he was a man like any other, brilliant, flawed, passionate, and complicated. And perhaps that's why people still remember him so clearly. He wasn't simple. He wasn't easy. He was Burt Lancaster, and there will never be another like him. In telling her truth about Lancaster, Jones doesn't want to scandalize or sensationalize. Instead, she wants to give an honest picture of a man who played an important role in her career and whose influence went far beyond the movies. It shows how rich her own life has been that she can look back with both admiration and honesty, not afraid to admit complexities of those she once worked with. At 91, Shirley Jones has earned the right to speak her mind. And her thoughts about Burt Lancaster remind us not only of his greatness but also oft very human qualities that made him such a compelling figure in Hollywood.